Welcome everybody to ELU Week 8 is officially in the books as we are welcoming our special guest Shriez here. Hello sir, how
How's
are
y'all?
you?
I'm doing good.
That's great to hear. Joined by the ever so lovely rotating cast. By rotating, I mean the same people that have been with me the entire time. Mikeypooh, the Captain Drac drinking cab. SpiritTracks, the same monkey as always.
Yep.
I'm the frog this time. And Sharice's profile picture.
I am the almighty loaf.
He is the almighty loaf. It is a pleasure to welcome you all to this little week's podcast. We will be going through games as we have just talked about before. Same thing we usually do every week. We don't really switch it up here a lot. Maybe we'll talk about playoffs a little bit more in depth because we have a lot of scenarios where places can end as well. I think best case right now is that New York Mutants has been confirmed with a bye as well, which is something very nice. And let's get talking to the game, shall we?
Yes. Yes.
All
Indeed.
right. LLW versus TAD. Oh boy. What a series.
I'm just gonna say I wrote this series off. I was like halfway through the second game. I was like, all right, it's done. And I went to play like Flex Q or something, and I came back and it was just like, what the hell just happened? Like, I don't know. That second game was something else. Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of also wrote this series off. I was like, LLW will probably win 2-1 or 3-0. I thought 2-1 maybe, but yeah.
The moment we got all the way up to the Nexus, our plan then was, can we find a way to just get someone or two people into the Nexus and everyone else just stop the backs no matter what?
Right.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do. It worked. So
Yeah.
good on you guys.
TAD. Yeah. This was a great series by them. It made Wardens kind of shake. They were kind of shaking in their boots after this series, at least for a little
Should
while.
be.
They're like, are we gonna miss the playoffs?
Well, we'll
Nah.
reach that series when we get there, Mikey. you
Yeah.
know?
No, I'm talking
They
about this
figured that
series.
out. They figured that out.
No, I'm talking about this series. I'm saying this series made Wardens. Like,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
were shaking in their boots.
Yeah, that's true. I
Yeah.
do. I think Wardens was like, whoa, wait a second, that ain't supposed to happen.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right.
I guess just starting off these I guess the first two games, like we've seen I think Sunny come into a little bit to his form these past couple of weeks. Like he had like the 50 kill series a couple of weeks ago. Um, last series was a bit rough against TPP, but you know they're a good team. This series, however, I don't like his picks. I think the hard carry like fighter picks like Jax, Irelia, Camille, Riven, like these are the picks he's known for. These are the picks he carries on. He did do well on the Vayne second game, but it's just a lot harder for him to I think like take over the game as that type of champion. Maybe it's something he's not as comfortable on. But especially the first game, the Trundle into the Mundo, I guess it's like a tank counter pick. But I don't know. I just didn't seem like he used Trundle properly. I mean,
Well,
he
Mundo
rolls.
counters Trundle. I
Oh,
picked counter pick.
oh, well, I mean, yeah, it's just like I saw him roll into team fights with Trundle a couple times, and like, is this really what you want to use Trundle for? You have this kind of engaged team with a Jinx, and then you just have a Trundle kind of sticking out with a like a sore thumb. Like, kind of wants to split push, but also needs to be with a team to protect like the against the Vi Oriana engage. Like, I don't know, it just didn't seem to fit, and he didn't really seem to use it proper.
Yeah, we were
Um,
planning to use the ultimate to cut Mundo's resistances and then just tear him down with Jinx, but that didn't really work.
yeah. I don't know, the way I see Trundle working is just get Hull Breaker, stay in the side lane, start 1v2ing top jungle. Um, you can bring it to fights. I think you see it with in the jungle a lot, but I feel like it's either split pushing or like bringing early pressure, getting some objectives, and then becoming a pillar bot later. I don't know. I just didn't like the pick, and I feel like with something else, that game could have gone a bit better. But the LLW in that game played very well, especially the bot lane using Caitlyn Morg to kind of negate the Jinx power that we've seen in the league so far.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was so fun to watch Sunny play. So the thing with Sunny is I feel like he tilts kind of easily, but he can carry a game so hard, you know?
Because once he gets rolling, it's really hard to stop Sunny.
Yeah.
It's over.
Doesn't he have most deaths and like most kills? Or not, he doesn't have most kills, but he's up there.
He's high up there. I think that's like, yeah, just kind of a testament to your guys' team. Like, kind of live or die by Sunny. You do have some. Dream plays very well. Captain Minor and I'm Asian bot lane have some good games. I've seen you have some pop-off games, but a lot of the time it just doesn't seem as impactful as like Sunny. Like, I don't think I've seen a game you guys have won without Sunny being a major part. Maybe against GCA there was a game where it was mostly your bot lane and mid lane. In the series versus GCC, everyone did well, and those games. But I mean, Sunny's just such a big part of your guys' team, and I don't know. Some of these picks he brings out sometimes just kind of give me some pause. Just 'cause I don't know. I just don't. I don't know. I've been ragging on him for 3 months, so I don't know. Yeah. I mean, and I guess on the LLW side, they played well that first game and the early part of the second game, but I don't know. I think the lane swapping may have mixed some things up because I don't know, that last game or the second game looked kind of sketchy. Like towards the later game. I don't know what Thigh High brought to you guys' team in terms of shot calling or anything, but I don't know. It looked like you guys were missing something there.
All right. Well, I mean, we are doing the roster swap because Thigh High is going to be out considerably for an even longer time now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
This was
I mean,
still a really good series, though. Probably
Yeah.
one of the probably the closest series of the week. So
yeah, definitely.
I would say we're all ragging on LLW, but I think LLW had their moments, and they made it a very competitive, very fun series to watch.
Oh, that's true.
It was also a lot of fun to play that series.
It was
Yeah.
not fun to play for me, especially with you camping in the bushes rumble when I was Mordekaiser against Jax. That wasn't fun.
Yeah.
Guys, we didn't see the Herald, and we were going down for the crab, and I was going to rotate up because I saw his 99% to level 6, go through the bushes, soak 1 or 2 minions, and then instant gank. And then when we saw him go down, we all said, they're going to gank top. I'm already in position, and they don't know I'm here.
Right.
That's I mean, that was a good play. That definitely kind of started the snowball, and I
And
mean,
the flash into the tower range and me dying, not so great. Everything else,
yeah. But I mean, you got Jax a lead, and he used that. That was, I don't know. That fed top laners, man. They're maniacs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I bet the one that can't get fed into the jungle.
Let's go ahead and do the awards. I've already given Sunny D the award for the win because I think that was pretty unanimous.
No. I'm
I think, I mean, yeah, I think he was the carry. I think he did, yeah. I mean, it's hard to this series especially to give anyone other Sunny than that. In terms of, I guess, under the radar, I was looking at Captain. I think he played pretty well. I mean, we've seen a lot of Caitlyn these past this week, and I think he played it pretty well. And I don't know, like it's a good kind of like a way to a secondary threat that he played very well. Dream also played well in the third game into
Captain
Stormblade Syndra.
didn't play Caitlyn. That was Asian.
Oh, did they? Yeah,
They
my
swapped.
bad.
Swapped game 2
All right.
and kept it for game 3.
All right, Asian then. I'll change this to. Copy.
So I agree. I think Asian deserves under the radar as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mikey.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Asian. Yeah, Dream to me would be a close second for me.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, this series, yeah, on the TAD side was very much Sunny D, and everyone was kind of supporting him. And Asian did a good job with less resources. So yeah.
Shriez, do you want to change anybody there?
It's for me, the underrated player would have to be between Dream and Asian, and I'd have to flip a coin to see how that goes. But I'm leaning towards Asian just because he felt like he had a little bit more impact than Dream that series.
All right. And then the losers MVP.
I'm going for Soko.
Yep, I would say Soko.
All right. I agree.
Yeah.
A lot of the times when I went to gank or I was planning out my next couple moves, he was there at some point. I was like, all right, go get my blue buff. And he comes flying over the wall. I'm going to gank top lane, and here he comes. I'm going to gank mid lane, and here he comes.
Yeah, I think we see a lot of times Soko is just like he picks like an O off or something and is just like hard just smashing the enemy jungler and their jungler, and like we compliment him a lot for that, but this series I think we saw a good amount of counter ganking, which really I think in the first two games kind of got you guys LOW the lead, kind of blocked a lot of what TAD was trying to do, and I think it was a good way to get I think Stormblade on the Orianna and the Victor as the kind of a buffer towards that 2-3 item mark. I think he did that pretty well.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much covers that series, as I am invited to a TFT game. GCC versus TPP.
The number one team did what number one team things. That's basically what happened.
Yeah. So we saw the first ISO square on the Caitlyn. I think Caitlyn is very strong right now. If you are able to kind of dominate the lane, I think if you like go even in lane and kind of like handshake it and roll into like a mid game team fight with another ADC, Caitlyn's kind of underwhelming. Generally because you go like rapid fire second and your damage, if you're not accelerated, is kind of lackluster, just because you don't have the extra AD item. So you really just have to like smash lane with that, and ISO and Scalene demolished us, especially in that first game. It was not close. Everyone probably saw that clip. Like, they played very well, and they really just brought that lead and just kind of all over the map started taking towers.
Like 60,000 people saw it, actually.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Especially that game one and game two as well. It was into Vi bot, so it's kind of strange. But they did a good job of kind of playing around a different pick. Wasn't the best pick, but it was a little bit of curveball, so they played around that well. But especially like Wyke on the cat in the second and third game. The second game we were like, let's leave cat up, see what happens. We might have a pick into it. and it didn't work well for us. And then the third game, we just honestly forgot about it. And that 30 kill game for him kind of didn't go
Good
super.
plan.
Yeah.
I think you picking Vi ADC, kind of grief.
All right. I've done it in solo queue and it's worked. So I was like, you know what? We're the underdogs. Let's try something new. And I
Actually,
agree, it didn't work at all.
Well, if you're already kicked out of the playoffs, I don't have an issue with it. Like I don't want to see you guys feeding or anything, but having some fun, you know.
I thought, you know what? Let's go for it. Let's see if it works. I like Vi. Crit Vi. I think if you get ahead, you can steamroll a game. But yeah, it didn't work this game. I think ISO and Scalene just too good for it to the cheese to work. So didn't work out that game.
Yeah. You guys, whenever we get to awards, you guys will probably be surprised by my picks.
All right, let's hear him. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot more to say about the series.
I was about to say there's not much to say. The number one team did number one team things.
Well, Shriez, do you have anything to say on this series? Did you watch this series?
I was unfortunately not able to watch the series.
Yeah.
You didn't miss much.
You missed a lot of Katarina.
You missed Wyke popping off on his one trick.
Yeah.
That's always fun watching the one tricks pop off.
Yeah. He played very well. It's just one of those things where like your bot lane and Katarina rolls up and
your draft game 3 was also kind of questionable.
I thought our draft was fun. It was the go fast Hecarim.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't like a super standard draft, but I don't know. There's some, I guess you could say, opportunity. I think Seda on the rise. If the Katarina didn't get super fed, he had an opportunity to carry. He did get targeted a lot, but he was able to pump out a lot of damage. He played very well there. And then towards the end, they kind of were having a little too much fun, and we got some kills back. And so it kind of started to work out whenever Katarina wasn't there. But yeah.
Okay, Shriez. Who do you think? Wait, do you even see the post-game screens? You don't actually. Let me get that for you. Actually, so that way you can have just a slight understanding of what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can see the post-game screens.
All right, Mikey. What are your picks? Your MVPs and stuff.
So it will probably surprise you guys. I gave my MVP to ISO Square rather than Wyke Wazowski. I was told by a birdie, including Wyke Wazowski himself, that he was definitely running around the map stealing a lot of kills, which is why Wyke Wazowski has a lot of kills but not a lot of assists this series. And obviously if you're just outclassing your opponents, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Like if the mid laner came down and stole all my kills, I'd be like, that's fine. Like this is kind of an over series anyway. But I think I want to give MVP of the series to ISO Square, Under the Radar to Scalene, and then I'll give Wyke Wazowski like a hardcore gaming award or something.
That I was actually gonna. That's actually what I was gonna say. I think ISO and Scalene used Caitlyn very well. I've talked about it a bit earlier, but they built up first game huge kill leads. The second game they built up CS leads, which against Vi is like expected, but it was a pretty big CS lead, and they got a lot of objectives. And the third game against Ezreal Yuumi, like if that lane doesn't get punished, it's a little sketchy, just because it's Ezreal and Yuumi. But they punished us very well. I think there was like a 30 CS lead at, I don't know, like 15 minutes or something. And they used their lead to impact the rest of the map very well. A little less in the third game because it was Katarina mostly running around, but in the first and second game they used it very well.
Yeah.
All right. Sure, I'll roll with it.
You
ISO Square, his first MVP all season.
nice.
Scaling gets his third, but
Mhm.
it's Scaling. All right, now who is your MVP of the losers?
That's a tough one. Uh,
I think
Donut
it's
did
Nightmare
okay.
Seda. But
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, I think Donut did well, and I think Seda did well. I think it's between those two.
Yeah, it looks like they both did pretty well for the gold deficit.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well give it to Seda because it looks like he has the slight. Let's see.
I think yeah, Seda
Well, I just
was.
don't think he hasn't gotten an award yet either. Not like that's what we're basing it off of. But.
I think yeah, Seda. Donut did well. He got some kills. He stayed competitive. I think Seda was the one like towards the end of the games, like stepping up and like, all right, I'm gonna carry. Like he almost had like the KO like 1v4 where like 3 people got away with like 100 health. His Rise was pumping out damage. He was the one like being like, all right, like we're gonna play around you, and he stepped up. His KDA don't look great, but like out if you look past that, you could see like, all right, he's the one stepping up to the spot. He's the one playing well these games. He's the one who's going to carry. And towards the end of the games, yeah, he was doing that. He was bringing us back into it a little bit.
Shriez, do you want to change any of that?
Considering I haven't seen the games and I just have the post screens to go on, I think I would give it to Donut, actually.
You would give it to Donut?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
With the caveat that I haven't seen the full game, so I haven't been able to see all the things that Zeta was able to do compared to Donuts and being able to do throughout the games.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. If you just look at the screens, yeah, I think that's.
Nightmare
a
Seda
solid
was
pick.
targeted a lot. I saw at least 2 5-minute dives top,
Yeah.
to be granted. You would have given it to Donut too?
Happened with that kind of goal difference between a top laner and a jungler.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of 50-50 at this point. I just think the coin flip for me is Seda got camped and dove, and he also hasn't gotten an award yet. So that's kind of the.
Are we flipping the coin?
Yeah! I'll flip a
Do
coin.
it. All right, flip a coin.
Alright, who's heads, who's tails?
Nightmares Seda's will be heads.
Okay. Nightmare Seda wins.
Huge.
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 Alright.
Plus, Donut's gotten a ton of awards. Get out of here, Donut.
Yeah. Stop losing, Donut.
Stop getting MVP of the losers every time.
Alright, Revolution versus New York Mutants. Went exactly how we expected.
Yeah, I saw some good things from Rev. I think.
I liked Fluoride. I like his
yeah,
debut. I
yeah.
liked what he could
Oh,
do.
one question I had is, why was Nubity able to sub? I thought you weren't allowed to. Wait, he's on. He's their support. I'm stupid. All right, never mind.
Wait.
Ignore me. All right.
I was like,
I was
How
like,
long have you been playing?
I've always seen him as support, and I was like, why is he mid lane? Like, what's going on here? Yeah. So no, that's my bad. Yeah. The swap, I think, mid lane, I guess, was probably just because Toad couldn't be there. And Nubity did play very well, pretty well. I wouldn't say very well. I'll say pretty well. I like the Malphite pick mid into the full AD team. I think that was pretty smart. The Jax kind of pushed it around a bit, but I think it was a good, like, you have carries in the other lane. You have Vayne, you have AP with Lux, you have Jace, so you don't really need to be a carry. You can just kind of sit there like, I'm Malphite, what are you going to do? And it did well. As well as the Anna, you have these very team, I guess, you enable these champions that enable your team, and I think you did pretty well.
So, let me get this straight with SpiritTracks. Are you saying that we have to invalidate the series because nobody was an illegal substitution during the 3-0, and therefore Revolution gets their first win, and New York Mutants is going to fight for the second place spot in the final week of ELU?
You know what? sure, why not? Because nobody's
Mikey,
not on
can
New
he do
York
this?
Maven, so
Yeah. Well, let me check the script.
yeah.
Can we do this?
Can
Yeah,
we do
no,
this?
I watched that series and I was like, I'm pretty sure newbie is some other team support. And then like as soon as I saw it, like I'm looking at the sheets right now. I'm like, wait, he's their support. I'm stupid. Um,
Yeah,
but
you're the
yeah,
guy who inputted his sheets as well.
yeah, um, yeah. All right, yeah. I think the swap was fine. You did good job.
I don't think New York Mutants would be very happy if we were actually doing that. So this is all a
Yeah,
joke. We're not serious about
yeah,
this.
It wasn't in the script, unfortunately.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not in the script. I won't do that to your team, Nobody. I have respect for your team.
And sorry, Rev, the script calls that you got to go through us first to get your win.
True,
It's true.
true. As the owner of this channel, I just nuke everything. Please don't do that.
Please don't do that.
Unless you're gonna start paying us, then go ahead and do that. Anyway, Shriez, did you watch this series?
I watched the Rev series from last week. I did not get to see this. Well, what was this week?
It
Is
was
this?
fluoride and piano mom substitutions.
I think I did see a little bit of that one.
Both debuts for Piano Mom for season 2 and Fluoride. I liked Fluoride. I liked how he looked. Wish him good luck in the draft, or if he gets
Yeah,
picked up during playoffs.
Yeah. Where'd this guy come from? Is he just like a mid-season?
Mid-season, yeah. He came after the draft had already happened.
Yeah, Fluoride's been in the sub pool since week 1, though.
Yeah.
He just hasn't ever subbed before.
Yeah, because we made a rule that he can only sub theoretically for Rev.
I mean, that was an unspoken rule, but sort of.
I don't think that was
Masters.
unspoken.
Okay.
No, I mean, we said we would just confer and see if we thought it was fair. Like, I think we'd definitely allow him to sub for GCC at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, GCC.
I mean, it makes sense. Bottom teams. Yeah, this is like a Masters top laner. It's pretty solid. Yeah. See, that should be fun next season. Should be a high prio pick. One thing I will say, for Rev, I did like. So we've kind of criticized Fichi a little bit over the series. I liked his game 1 on the Urgot. He seemed to be a bit, I don't know, I guess I could say a bit more comfortable than I've seen him in previous series. I don't know if that's just me looking on the bright side or like something, but I liked a bit more of what I saw this series. And from him. Not as much on the Gnar the second game. I feel like Gnar is kind of a bait champion from him. Just because Gnar it's good into certain matchups, but if Gnar can be abused and like pushed down, especially by Jace, things like the Jace, or like a lot of top laners play like Camille, have started playing Camille and like Jax, and I think that if you don't play Gnar optimally, it just looks ugly. But I like the Urgot pick from him. Kind of showed up there.
I thought his Urgot was decent, and with Nar's good against a lot of things, but he's not great against a lot. And if you mess up once to something like a Jax that can die, you can't get that lead back unless they throw it fantastically.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think we've seen that a decent amount this season.
I heard that Shooter McFappen guy is the best bench player. I think you heard wrong.
Who's Shooter McFappen guy?
That's Mr. Machizo. That was him on an alternate account.
It's pretty good. I think I played on GCC a bit with him last season, and he's pretty good. He has some, I guess, off-meta picks like Maokai and Malphite support, but he does pretty well on them.
I was just making a joke because
I saw the chat.
My LLW, our sub was named best bench player because he had never played until this season.
Nice.
But yeah, Rev versus New York Mutants went exactly as we expected. Let's go ahead and give out some awards here.
Hector.
Yep.
This guy is going crazy, just all season long. Think I think he's making a push to upset my #1 ADC spot, courtesy of Stormblade. Um,
Right.
yeah.
And then who is your second? I would say, for me, it'd probably be either Solomon.
It could be Mr. Machismo if you think about it.
Yeah, I would.
Okay, are you gonna give it to him?
I haven't said for sure yet.
I'll give it
I
to
think
him.
I think Mini Soko played very well game 2, but I do think the support, the bot lane just in general,
The whole bot lane just went off.
yeah.
Yeah. You know what?
I,
I'll give it to him. I think he's
Hmm.
deserved it.
I think so too. Give it to Mr. Machismo.
Series, do you have a disagreement with this?
He died.
Shriez?
oh,
He's no longer with us.
Don't say that, man. What's wrong with you?
Sorry about that.
It's okay. You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Do you agree with Mr. Machizo and Hextech as the MVP and under the radar MVP?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And then loser MVP of Revolution. Neither of the doctors were there,
Probably fluoride.
so
right?
probably Fluoride. I think Fluoride did the most he could.
I would agree on Fluoride, but I will say also as their opponents next week, I'm a little torn between saying really good things about them and holding back some of what I really think because it might go into our strategy on.
yeah, we don't want that. Like
Yeah,
save
don't-
it for
Save it for the games.
yeah.
I will say
Um,
I look forward to playing against them.
All right.
Yeah, I think I mean, they're 0-21. Like, everyone's kind of written them off. But again, I still think, like, if you don't take them seriously, like, because we didn't really take them seriously in week 1, right? Like, in that second game was very difficult. They almost had us there. And I think, yeah, if you don't prepare, if you just thinking like, oh, I'm gonna coast by, they could trip you up. And so I think you still have to take them seriously, even if they're 0-21, or else you might drop a game. And like, yeah, TAD right now can't drop a game. So
That's why we're going 100% against them.
yeah. That's what we like to hear.
All right.
Like it.
And then the final game, the upset of the week,
Ooh.
upset of the season.
Yeah, I was about to say.
War
who's-
versus GCA.
First, can I ask you guys, who's the comeback team of the season? Is it
TKK.
TKK or War? Or is it War?
TKK.
I don't. Oh, okay. fair
TKK.
enough.
I think, yeah, War has. I don't
War
know,
was
like,
always competitive during the season, and we knew that they would be able to pull off something like this in this nature. We just didn't expect it yet. TKK we literally wrote off as like a bottom feeder team.
a little bit.
Sort of.
I had them at like 6th or something.
I had them as, yeah, I had them middle of the pack.
Yeah, but they stepped up. Like, they beat TPP, they beat LW, who was at that point I think number 1 or 2 team. They had a bye this week, so we didn't get to see them play. But they've had some good wins. Once they kind of got into their own. Like, if you ignore week 1 and week 2, those were against hard teams, and they weren't really. I don't know. It's the first week. They haven't really played together that much. But ever since then, it's been lights out. And so, I mean, I can't
And-
really.
Is who else is super excited for War versus TKK this upcoming week?
Yeah.
I mean, that just War
That's a good game.
War's sweep literally just made that a million times more exciting.
Yeah. This sweep. I don't know. Karis played out of his mind.
Yeah,
He
for
played
sure.
very well. I think Nitro, you mentioned, like, is a bit of a draft diff. I don't like a lot of these picks into the Samira. I don't like Braum into Samira. I think it takes too long to CC her. If you don't have ult, I don't like the you had the Pike Tristana game 2 into Poppy Varus. Poppy's an okay counter into Pike, but it's just Varus I don't like. You're immobile. You're kind of
Nice big pike target is
yeah.
what you
You're
are.
kind of just free money right there. And to Pike Tristana set Zach like you're not going to be able to play the game. So I don't know. I feel like GCA really just set up War's bot lane for success. And I don't know, like yeah, Karis and Chipatar, they played well. They do really well when they just go ape aggressive. Yeah, they did it this series and it kind of caught GCA off guard.
Yeah, it was it was a really good series. That bot lane was just the gap kept widening and widening. Uh, which I'm pretty sure GCA was on the longest winning streak in the league before
Were
before
they?
this series. So
Yes, I think so. So they
'cause-
beat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. So their only other loss was to LLW in week 2,
Yeah.
series loss. Yeah, so that's what like week 2 to
Yeah.
week 8, 5.
yeah, I think they were on the longest winning streak, and this kind of just shut it down. So
Mm-hmm.
I did say it was a draft, a bit of a huge misplays draft-wise. I think you don't ban the Aphelios, you give him Aphelios, and then you just pick something that abuses Aphelios.
That's the thing. I think even if you don't ban Aphelios, like, does he pick it? Like, I don't think he needs to. Like, he played very well on these other champs, and I think you drop that ban and you ban like Samira, you ban Tristana.
Yeah. I think the bans were targeted at the wrong person because War's a lot of success is dependent on Karis as well. Because Karis is a very good player, but Karis is sometimes feast or famine,
Yeah.
which I think a lot of people would agree with. I don't know if he'll personally agree with it, but I
well,
think
it's kind of like Sunny D too. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
I think him and Sunny D are like feast and famine players, you know.
Yeah.
Cars says disagree in chat.
Well, he typed that before I went on this tangent. So.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay. Also, I do want to say I think Slushy did pretty well this year. Like, I think we come in and we're like, all right, you're going against Forever, and like you're probably not gonna be able to do a whole lot. It's like you're basically just there to not int.
I think Slushy is like my under the radar MVP for that series because considering who he was up against and Forever. I mean, I think that was Forever's lowest like kill series other than against like LLW because he only got like 19 kills.
Yeah. So I'm going to like I'm rewatching the VODs here. I'm going back to like 20 minutes in each game. You got
Sorry, he got 29.
yeah. Forever's 8-3 on Casio game 1, but Slushy's 5-1, so he's staying competitive. I'll go into 25 minutes in game 2. Slushy's 4-2. Forever's 4-4, and like 22 minutes game 3. You got 4-3 Forever, 6-4 Slushy. I think that game 1 started out a bit rough, but he really pulled it back, and I think the ability to just kind of like keep Forever down a bit and like not, because we saw last week against GCC Forever, was that last week? I think, yeah, it was. He went crazy, like 17-1, 7-1, 15-1. Like if he's not kept down, he's gonna take over a game. And the ability for Slushy not to run it down and just kind of keep himself in the game and keep Forever contained was he did a really good job there. I honestly didn't expect that.
I think that's my MVP is Cars and 999 Sushi is my under the radar, but I am willing to listen to other arguments.
I think that's pretty good. I think you could make a case for Kapesk. He played a good engage, a supported style. I think this is like a low case. Wasn't like, it's probably like a 5% shot for me. Maybe you say Chief Batar played well, but I think mainly that was Karis in the lane, and Chief Batar officiating that. So yeah, I'd agree. But everyone played pretty well that series. Brady, was kind of weak side the entire time, but he did his job well. And but yeah, it was good comeback series in that, or good wins in the first 2 games, and good comeback in game 3 for War.
Yeah, we were shocked when War took the whole series because we thought for sure they were going to lose the third.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In terms of losers, I know this is kind of difficult for me. I think you could pretty easily give it to Forever just because he was the reason they were in the first 2 games. But when you look at game 3, he had a huge lead and he threw it away. Like he was 4-1 and ended the game, I think like 4-5, 5-6. And so he had a huge lead, a huge gold lead with the jungler as well, with Toasty Boy on the cane, and he really just didn't do anything with it. It may have just been the team coordination from War kind of got the better of him, and he wasn't just able to steamroll. So I think that kind of caught him off guard, or he just didn't really know what to do there. But yeah.
Yeah. Wait, who did we say for under the radar, or have we not said yet?
We said Slushy was the front runner.
Okay. Yeah, because I'd put Chief Patar there too,
Mm-hmm.
but you never know. Like that bot lane did so well, you don't even know who to.
Yeah,
I don't.
I think Karis played out of his mind. And
Yeah.
some of that credit does go to Chipatar,
I
definitely.
think Karst is a pretty obvious MVP,
Yeah,
but I just don't know where to put Chief Patar here.
I'd
Maybe
put
I
him
could
at
give him an extra award.
affiliator or something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that. I shoved the rest of the chicken nuggets down my throat because they were getting cold.
Fair, fair.
I apologize. I was eating my dinner
Man,
of
eating.
chicken nuggets. I do think Forever is the
Press
loser's
that shutdown
MVP.
for those nuggets.
I had to get, it was a huge shutdown for him. It was the 500 gold objective bounty. There you go. That's topical.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Dino Nuggets, I wish. Chief played
I have
extremely
Dino
well game
Nuggets.
3 and had good itemization. I agree. I think that is a good point for Chief Patar. I just think Slushy, just expecting the matchup that it was coming in, the fact that Slushy did more than hold his own, and I would say performed better than Forever, is the reason why I would give him it. Because if I'm gonna be honest, Karis, if you didn't like completely pop off, Slushy was my MVP. But I am gonna give you the respect that you deserve and for this series and give you the MVP.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's kind of hard this because like everyone did well. I think Slushy mentioned game 1. I think Sprady it was a rough game. He was like 1-5, but he was the one who got onto the Casio and helped them get those shutdowns. And so everyone had like huge moments in the series. Wait, no, that I'm looking. He was 6-2 on the TK. So he was like a big front line. So I think everyone, yeah, it's kind of difficult 'cause everyone did their job well. Like, no one stood out as like the sore thumb. I think it's just you kind of eke the Karis and Forever and Slushy above the rest.
And it was a good back and forward series because even though Karis was super extremely ahead, GCA didn't just go down without a fight.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I think that wraps up awards for this week. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty quick, actually. We did that kind of
good.
like 40 minutes.
Yeah, good week 8. Again, like we got 2 series, very very good series. Other 2
I don't.
kind of snoozers.
Now I don't know which to be series of the week. I mean, they're both gonna be so good.
Well, unfortunately, there's already been a reschedule that I have to do really quick.
There's a couple reschedules.
Yeah, I know the the War game has been moved to next Tuesday.
I believe GCA and TPP are also going to move their game. And then I heard talks of Rev and TAD not being able to find a good time that works.
So I think the only game tomorrow is LOW versus GCC, which is Shriez's last chance in order for them to make playoffs.
Really give it our damnedest.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
you're gonna become the biggest GCC fanboys.
Yep.
Yeah, I think like it's finals week for a lot of people, so like it's kind of difficult to find times here.
Yeah.
But I mean, hopefully all the games are able to be played. Because I don't know, there's a lot of there's a couple playoff implications that still need to be ironed out.
Yeah, well, just seeding and stuff. That's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, seeding is important, but the bottom 4 teams in the playoffs, I wouldn't want to play any of them honestly right now. They're all pretty good.
I would actually disagree with that.
Oh really?
Right.
Yeah, so I think you have some teams are looking pretty good. You got NYM and TPP, very scary. TKK is on the upswing. War just had a good series. I think you look at GCA though, and I've been saying this for a while. If Slushy's not getting ahead, like what's going for them? Like they seem to lack the.
You mean forever?
999 yeah.
God damn it! Yeah, this 999s and just get me. Forever's not getting ahead. What do they got going for him? I think we saw it in this series, especially. Like if he's not able to just hard carry a game, they lack kind of the team coordination. So again, like War did a very good job keeping them down. I think TPP, they have very good mid laner as well, and I think the rest of their team outclasses GCA. So I think that next week that's a pretty in the book series, but also in playoffs, if people can kind of take a leaf out of War's book and do that, and GCA isn't able to adapt and step up, then they're looking a bit weaker. And also LLW has been kind of on the backslide. You got a couple losses and then you lose your support. I think they're looking a bit shaky. Maybe they step it up, but those are the two teams where I'd be like, all right, I'd rather play these two than TKK and War right now, if they're in the bottom 4 or whatever. In the bottom 4, 4 through 6, 2 through 6, 3 through 6. There we go.
I think that's just a testament to how unpredictable these playoffs are going to be. Because, like, I know we're all like, oh, LLW's on a slide, but like they could easily take out any team in ELU any day. I mean, they've already done it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're kind of rough on GCA, but they're the same. I mean, it's just I think it's super unpredictable.
Yeah, definitely.
I really don't know what's going to happen.
I think for me, what you got to look for really around these 4 teams is how the mid lane shake out, and I think a lot of these teams come from mid lane. I think LLW you got Soko and Stormblade. Their duo is kind of what carries LLW, especially right now with lane swaps. We're not totally sure how the top and bot's going to shake out, so I think most reliable for them is mid jungle. GCA, same deal. TKK, I think Fidsick is very good on their team, and so jungle, that's more of a jungle, but also you gotta see how he works with Versalto, because we've seen Versalto play very well too. But honestly, actually, I'm gonna take this, but I think TKK is a very well-rounded. I think anyone on their team can do well, but the other 3 teams, I think it's mainly just how the mid lane plays out. War, you have Karis going crazy, but like if the other team's mid lanes get the better of Slushy, like will that be enough? Because I've seen some games where Slushy does very well, but also some games where it does not look good. Yeah.
All right. Power rankings. Shriez, do you have yours ready by chance?
I don't have an exact list, but I do know for me personally, I put TKK way up there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think Mikey's and I are almost exactly the same. Right? Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
have one. So we got the top five are the same. We got TPP, NYM, TKK, GCA, War, and then he has LLW 6 and TAD 7th. I have that flipped. I think LLW makes the playoffs, but I think if you look at last week, I think you see that TAD is a bit more stable right now, even though they are kind of unstable as a team. I think there's a bit more there that I think is a bit more promise there right now. Um, and then GCC Rev, they've been down there for a while.
And
Yeah.
I'm biased naturally, but I would put us, if you ran back the whole season, our team, TAD, having gotten all our position switching figured out from the get-go, you see us as high as 5th, maybe even.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely a possibility. I just think right now, from what we've seen, it's kind of hard to give you guys that leeway. Because while there is some there are some very good games we've seen from you guys with your roster, there are also some ones that don't look good. If especially like this game one series, LW, I think you look at TPP, the entire TPP series. There's some TPP is a very good team, but if you kind of look at those 4 games, you can kind of see that there's some shakiness there. But and so like recency bias, I think especially for me, um, I'm not going to be able to give that to you.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. Well,
Uh,
my ranking's a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
I put New York Mutants number 1, TPP 2, TKK 3rd, GCA 4th, War 5th, 6 LLW, 7th TAD, 8 GCC, 9 Rev.
so I tend to actually agree that I think NYM would have won that series against TPP if they had their full team and if they drafted a little bit better. But I can't bring myself to put NYM above them since they did get 3-0'd, and we just have to kind of look at the facts on that one by TPP. So as of now, I have to keep TPP at number 1. Um, but I definitely see where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you can make the argument. You got these series from MIMU like, oh, GCA, another top team, they should have won it, but they just couple things went wrong in that last game. You look at TPP series like top team, just like, oh, we could have won that. We just missed like a keystone, key part of our team. And I think like those are the 2 series you look at, and and it's just like if a couple things went differently, if the, one thing didn't go wrong, if this didn't happen, they'd be like, yep, they've locked in the number 1 seed. They're clearly first. I think it's also just kind of hard to like because those things went wrong, and also because TPP has had some hiccups. You got the loss versus TKK, but like and LLW in week 1, but they just seem more consistent in their highs. And I not more. I think they're as consistent in their highs, and I think their highs are a bit higher than NYM's. I think their players, their peaks are just a bit higher.
Yeah, that's also fair.
But yeah, I mean, it's easy to make the argument. But yeah, I mean, our power ranks are pretty similar, all of them. I think
Yeah.
NYM and TPP for Nitro flipped versus the rest of us, and me having TAD and LLWs flipped versus you two.
Which makes mine the average of your 2.
That is true. Yeah. But I don't know. Like, it's pretty concise. Like, I think we're getting down to the end, and we can see, like, all right, things are coming into, like, we all kind of, like,
Yeah.
I think this is the most similar I think our power rankings have been the entire season.
No, we had one where we all had the same 3. Multiple
Second,
weeks.
this is the second, let's just call it the second most consistent.
Okay. Yeah. Shriez, do you have one yet? Possibly?
I do actually have one.
Alright, let's
Huge.
hear yours.
What do we got?
So from top to bottom, I've got New York Mutants. I've got TKK number 2, even though they're number 4 in the standings right now. Then I've got TPP, the GCA, Then I've got War, LLW, and then us, the American Dream, GCC, and Rev.
All right.
Oh,
That's fair.
dang.
I do
Nice.
think, yeah, putting TKK, you had them second.
Yes.
That is viable. Yeah, we have seen a huge upswing from them. I mean, we honestly we haven't really seen them play the last 2 weeks. They had the bye this week, and they had one game versus Rev, week
I
7.
think I think they're better than their record
Yeah,
suggests.
I would agree because you do have the 2 wins before that are against TPP and LOW, and I do think it was kind of the same thing with War in week 1. They were against a very difficult team, again of GCA, and maybe they just didn't have their synergy. Maybe they just didn't. They weren't used to playing. I think after those first 2 weeks, they haven't lost a series. They 2-1 a lot of series, but they're against very good teams, and so I think it's very. You can make a good argument for that. I could even agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And those are the power rankings. Pretty much. Mikey will have that all concise and posted in the content announcements later. For his article, upcoming matchup of the week. Sorry, I keep forgetting that's in the wrong place. I think it's War versus TKK. I think that has a ton of playoff implications for where the standings end up, and I think TPP and GCA are also very important this week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, I'm surprised you're putting that above TPP and GCA, but fair enough.
I think War TKK has a lot more to do with 3 positional standings than TPP versus GCA does. Because if GCA 3-0s, then TPP is confirmed third.
Yeah,
And
it's big for the first round bye.
it is a huge first round bye matchup. It's just that War versus TKK can change a lot between the standings themselves. Because if TPP 3-0s GCA, then GCA drops, then TKK can rise up behind them, LLW can rise up with them, and then all of a sudden GCA is 5th and War is 6th.
Mm-hmm.
And War stays 6, and then that happens like that, where they'll be 11 and 13, and TAD would be 11 and 13. But because War has the tiebreaker, so they advance.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I think is most likely to happen, I think you look at last week's game for GCC. They were kind of pushed around. I think TPP is a better team than War, so I think they should be able to handle that series. Maybe GCC or GCA plays a bit better and it's a 2-1. But that really, I think, what that puts TPP in first and puts GCC at 15 and 9, which will keep them in third place unless this TKK War series changes. So I think the TKK War series, we haven't seen TKK in 3 weeks, pretty much, by Rev, and then it'd be this week. So I think this is kind of a way to look like, are they a top team still? Did they lose some of that? Are they going to stay strong into playoffs? I think, and it's also when you look at is War actually a good team? Did they just get lucky against GCA? Because I think, yeah, so they had GCA and then a bye, and then they had Rev, which was a 2-0 forfeit, and then they lost to LW, they lost to TPP, they almost lost to GCC in week 3. I wouldn't say almost lost. It was a close series versus GCC, and then you have these sketchy series from them, but they've won two in a row. But is it just luck? Did GCC drop the ball? So I think this series, especially I think GCA right now and TAD are kind of known, or TPP are kind of known factors, while these other 2 teams aren't really. And I think this series has a lot more, I wouldn't say playoff implication, I'd say opinion implication, I guess. I think that right now is a bit more important. Also, it's confidence for them. Are they actually a good team? Can they actually compete in playoffs?
For sure. All right, that's fair. That's fair. I can dig that. Hold on, let me change it on the good old Alcove article.
Yeah, TPP GCA definitely still a good series. It
I'll
was
put it as the under the radar
yeah,
series.
it was the most hyped up series for us for like
for several weeks.
yeah, but I think honestly the War GCA series just knocked it down for me. Like I've
Yeah.
been saying GCA they're abusable. Like things can happen to them, and I think this week we finally saw it. And I honestly don't think it's gonna get better for them here.
Yeah. I'm going
I
to.
think TKK are going to be a little less susceptible than GCA were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. I think they're a lot more well-rounded. 'Cause, yeah, I think we've talked about like Peels as being like up there in like top 3 top laners. Fidsick is definitely strong. He has so many picks you need to ban, like the Nocturne, the Fiddlesticks. He even like flexes Morgana between him and his support. Because I think he does play support a fair amount, so he knows how to play the champion. Um, and then you have their bot lane is also very strong. Germ Salmon Hopeless. They almost always are very stable. Like they're not super, never have really like super pop-off games, but they're always like a rock in the ball. And they're kind of like how Mini Soko like was never didn't used to really have super pop-off games. But he was always stable. He's been getting better. I've seen more carry games from him, but like back in the beginning of the season.
Yeah. I still do say that the most well-balanced team is NYM.
Yeah, I would agree.
But no, that's definitely they're a contender for sure.
I would put them at second, most well-rounded. Yeah.
They're definitely a contender at second there.
So, game of the week, TPP versus GCA?
I thought we were saying War versus TKK.
For me, it's War and TKK is the game of the week. That's the one I'm watching.
For me too. I think the other one is under the radar for me.
Yeah,
All
I'll
right.
put the other one under the radar.
Alright, and then we could talk about playoffs now. The playoff scenarios.
We talking about playoffs?
Playoffs?
Playoffs are coming up. I had no idea.
Yeah. I think you'll have a prime seat for playoffs.
All right, I'm gonna get my article in here before Nitro floods the content announcements.
I don't flood the content announcements.
I'm just
Come
kidding.
on.
I do. I type too much in there.
Hey, all I gotta say is that GCC has a perfect window.
Yeah. So what do we got? We got games that mean something. So you got Rev and TAD and LLW GCC. Those have to be 3-0s in favor of GCC and TAD for TAD to make playoffs. If anything else happens, LLW is in, TAD is out.
Miracle runs before. We saw it with Cloud9 at Worlds, and now we can see it with TAD in playoffs.
Yeah. I do think TAD is 3-0. I think LLW should have it in at least one game versus GCC. If they don't, something's wrong. You guys need to will needed to do something bad. I think it's possible. I think we've seen a lot more from Donut. Donut's really improved the team since Trendset has left. I think Seda has had some good performances. While being targeted, he's still able to do a lot of damage. So it's basically like, will the lane swaps work out or position changes work out? Will losing Thigh like shift up your team enough to make this possible? I don't think so, but we'll see. It's a miracle run. I'd give it like a 2% chance, maybe 5%.
I would say
Yeah.
it still has the puncher's chance of taking us down because
Yeah.
history and results, it should, air quotes, be a 3-0 for TAD. But if we screw up just one time and Rev gets a good fight, it's game over.
Yeah.
It is unfortunate that I'm speaking under the assumption TAD won't make playoffs, but so hypothetically, it is unfortunate that such a good team is going to miss out on playoffs, because I think TAD is a very good team, a team
Yeah.
that shouldn't miss out on playoffs. So it is very unfortunate.
I think like you kind of said earlier, Shreez, like the roster swaps, you took too long to figure that out, and that kind of hurt you. You kind of got it together, and hopefully it'll be enough, but soon enough. We'll see.
We'll just see how it goes.
Right.
And then, yeah.
So, playoff scenarios. New York Mutants cannot end below second. New York Mutants is the first team to confirm a bye. TPP can also confirm themselves a bye by just winning a single game versus GCA.
I think they get first if they win a single game, right? Because they have tiebreaker.
Over New York?
Yeah. Because they 3-0'd them in so they win one game, they're first place.
Yeah. They win one game, they're instantly first place. And then we know New York is second place.
So I think they win one, they're first. If they win 0, then they're third. So I think those are the two options for them.
I'm very sorry if you hear the sirens in the background. That was strange.
And then, so they're first or third. I think New York is second. They're always second, unless TPP get 3-0'd. And then TKK War, that's where things get a bit messy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because
I think that's why I say TKK versus War is like the best series, because that has the huge playoff implications. Because let's assume GCA goes 0-3 against TPP, right?
Yeah.
So that now means that TKK LLW can instantly overtake GCA, and that would force either War into equal with TKK or LLW, because it's gonna be interesting, you know, how everything plays out, because even I think because the first round matchup could be extremely like. It could be like LLW versus GCA, which was last season's finals, in the first round of playoffs, and then it'll be like TKK versus War in the first round as well, which would be insane.
Yeah, because so we could see a TKK War for 2 weeks in a row. I mean, that's I don't know. Some people could think like, oh, this again, but like I think that's very interesting possibility, because like you can see like, do these teams take anything away from the last series? Do they make adjustments? Did they learn? I think that's a good indication for how good a team can be. Because if we see like TKK or War just roll the series and then we come back and we just see it again, we're just like, it'd be disappointing, but we can also be like, all right, whichever team lost, it's like they didn't deserve to be here as much. Like they deserve to be here, but like this other team's clearly better. So things.
And it's hard to argue against a 5-game series. Like,
yeah,
I mean, you could have an off day, that does happen, granted, but 99% of the time, if you win a 5-game series, you're the better team. Like that's so many games to figure out who's the better team, you know.
Yeah.
Assuming you don't have a completely off day, which is possible.
Yeah.
I really want to see how playoffs will vision out. I think the dream matchups, the ideal matchups for round 1 of playoffs would be War versus LLW and then TKK versus GCA. So I think those teams match up better against each other. But I mean, I wouldn't be like mad at anything. I mean, I wouldn't even be mad if TAD makes playoffs.
Yeah, I would argue that I want to see GCA versus War in the first round. I want to see if GCA can kind of, I guess, prevent the run back. Like, because honestly, I think getting 3-0'd there is a pretty big blow. I think it kind of, like, it definitely shook my confidence in them. So I think if I can see them run it back, if I can see them kind of be like, all right, let's take what happened in the series, let's maybe fix the bot lane, or like again, like let's see if they can adapt from this series. Because honestly, like if they can't, then I think that it's just like they're not a top tier team, and I think this is a good way to really like prove like that this all right, this is a fluke. We actually deserve top 4.
Yeah, that's fair. I think there has been flukes this season. Like, I guess I shouldn't even give an example because people will be like, no, but um, there's definitely been flukes, but I think overall, where the teams are right now in the standings is fairly similar to their skill. I'm very excited for playoffs. I'm excited for this last week, but I'm way more excited for playoffs.
Yeah, this last week, I think it's 95% like we know who's going to playoffs, and so we can start. It's just we don't really know the matchups yet, and so I think we kind of know what we're gonna get from this week. There will be some good games. I'm not arguing against that, but like I think it's less hype about that and more hype about like what comes next, and yeah, I mean, playoffs. Best of 5 series. Gotta love it.
Yeah. Well, I do think that pretty much covers everything we wanted to talk about. I mean, if anybody in chat has like anything they want to add as well, Shriez, do you want to add anything to the playoff hat trick?
Bring your best.
All right. I do think that pretty much covers everything we talked about. Yeah.
I think so. I think we touched a bit last week on MVP voting or MVP candidates. Like, do we know how we're doing that yet?
Yeah, we'll do it on our next show. It has to be after the regular season, obviously.
Right.
And then we'll do the regular season awards. So we'll have MVP under the radar, and then we'll have I'm gonna make a list of a ton of other awards, and if you guys have ideas for other awards, like Mr. Machismo had a really good idea of doing the 6-man award, so giving an award to the best sub or whatever. Like, feel free to shoot me ideas. I'll be making the document probably tomorrow, actually. And,
I like that 6-man idea.
Yeah, that'll be on there. There will be like a dozen awards that we're gonna give out. And I'll probably even give kernels to the awardees, and we'll make it fun. It'll be like a fun award show.
All right. All right. I think that pretty much covers everything.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for watching ELU Week 8 podcast. I am your host with the least, Mr. Glorsnacks, joined by the ever so loving mustache man himself, Mr. Mikey.
A mustache?
I don't even have a mustache.
Not
That's what
anymore.
I thought.
Well, I have a beard. I guess it includes the mustache because it's a full beard. So yeah, I guess.
I mean, yeah.
Out of technicality, yes, I do have a mustache.
I mean, hey, if you want, you could just,
Yeah, I could shave it. Hey, I should do that for the final game or whatever game I cast. Just a mustache.
Oh, God. Alright, well, I do appreciate all of you joining us. It has been an honor to host you, Mr. Shriez.
Thanks for having me.
I am going to go ahead and do the new transition to this end screen that Mom had made for us. Yeah, there we go. Boom. That works. Alright.
Huge.
Thank you very much for watching. You can look on the podcast if you want to see it. It's pretty cool. I like it a lot. I have been Glorsnacks, Shriez, SpiritTracks, and Mikeypooh wishing you a very safe Wednesday, the December 8th. Remember, it's finals week next week, so don't go crazy. But if you already had your finals, good job. You've made it. I have 2 finals next week, so I gotta.
Or if you graduated 4 years ago like me.
Yeah, or if you're just an adult
I'm
male
old.
talking to a bunch of college students like Mikey is.
I know. I'm like that one like 40-year-old who's busting into college.
No,
parties.
no, no.
I'm like Hey, you guys want a party? It's like, not with you.
When do I get my membership club? I graduated college already.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a wonderful day. I'm gonna go watch some Phoenix Rising because their graphics look pretty good, and they may be coming to ELU soon if I do decide to take up graphic design as my passion.
Hey.
Great.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.